Yep, but I've already filled them in for you. All right, guys, so listen up, please. I filled out the note packet for you. You don't need to write. However, that does not mean that you don't need to listen. As I said before, we are approaching the end of our evolution unit. We have cladistics, or understanding cladograms, and we have classification left. Today I want to talk about cladograms. I think that you're going to have a pretty easy time understanding cladograms, guys. Cladograms are simply drawings like this that you see on the board that show relationships through evolutionary history. All right? Oh, I'm going to have to do this. There we go. All right. Anywhere in this branching diagram, that's what you could think of a cladogram. You think of it as a branching diagram. Anywhere it branches, what do you think's at that branching point? More particular, common ancestor. All right? Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, well. Fantastic. So, like I said before, cladograms are sometimes called branching diagrams. Based on this type of cladogram here, what do you think is more closely related, a raccoon or a giant panda? I should say to a bear.
Giant panda.
Giant panda, all right. I think based on understanding our evidences for evolution, understanding homologous structures, that's one reason why you guys probably jumped to that conclusion of giant panda, because giant pandas and bears, they have a lot of homologous structures in common, okay? However, if you had no idea what a raccoon was and you had no idea what a giant panda was, you can just look at this cladogram and understand that they are more closely related because, look, they are off the same branch of this, I'm going to call it a tree, this branching diagram. Okay? So, what these show, there's a term called phylogeny. Phylogeny, guys, is the study of phylogenetics, which is how to understand and create cladograms. All right? So you're seeing that these circles here, what do those circles represent? Exactly. Common ancestor. Anytime there's a branch point, all right, there are common ancestors. So we can trace it all the way back and understand that right here, raccoons and these lesser pandas do share a common ancestor with giant pandas and bears. However, because of this branch right here, we can tell that giant pandas and bears share a closer common ancestor. Remember, guys, the theory of evolution states that all organisms on Earth, no matter what organism it is, shares a common ancestor. Now, if you think of these cladograms like trees, obviously the closer the branches are in this cladogram, the more closely related these organisms are. Okay? Look at this one. So this is the cladogram of life. All right? It's kind of mind-blowing. If don't get overwhelmed with it.
That's beautiful.
Let's go back to that.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. So this is really, really cool because it starts off, you can see time on the bottom, where in the middle it's, I can't even quite read it, 500 million years ago. No, more than that. 5,000 million years ago. So we're talking about billions of years. What were the first life forms on planet Earth? Bacteria. All right? And you could follow through this humongously in-depth cladogram to see where life split. All right? Now, obviously, some of these organisms on here, dead, extinct. Now, hold your question for 1 second. And then you can see, guys, as evolution happened, we went from more simpler organisms to complex organisms. So we go through and we see bacteria and archaea bacteria, what is their domain? If they're not eukaryotic, they're what? Prokaryotic. Fantastic. We have eukaryotes, plants. We go to the algae, fungi, protostomes, echinoderms. We haven't talked about those yet. We go to sharks, fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals. This is where we are. Okay? So you're seeing all these, I guess, branches from these trees. This is a really, really large cladogram. Not much information in here, but it's pretty cool to look at. Andre, what was your question?
How do we know where the bacteria were 5 or
billions of years ago? Is it like a rough guess?
It's not necessarily a rough guess. There are bacteria alive now that were alive billions of years ago. Just in Siberia, they were able to drill into an ice core, through an ice core into an underground lake that man has never seen before. They were able to date how old the ice was, and they were able to extract some bacteria from there and date the bacteria.
This isn't 500 billion. You're like billions of years old.
Billions of years? Sure it is. Parts of it. Depending where on the earth it is. Why wouldn't it be? The deeper it is, the older it is.
All right. You say so. You. What was that fight, guys?
All right.
Your mouth's having a heart attack.
Yeah, I know it is. So here is an example of a much simpler cladogram to understand. All right. We can see that, yeah, the tree of life, the branches. If we look at this cladogram here, what do these points here represent? Every time there's a branch, what does that represent? So, yeah, good. Common ancestor, common ancestor, common ancestor. Common ancestor. Right. Come on now. This thing's going crazy today. Common ancestor. Common ancestor. That is not a common ancestor there. That was from the last slide. Now, based on where the common ancestors are, what is going on here? This thing is freaking out. There we go. So, a few things here. I'm going to wait till everyone's quiet. Gentlemen, thank you. Based on where the common ancestors are on the cladograms, we can tell which one is more closely related. All right? Now, you see characteristics here. Are all of these organisms up here going to exhibit all these characteristics? No, they're not. All right? So everywhere there is a new characteristic. So vertebrae, bony skeleton, forelimbs, amniotic sac, hair, preorbital fenestra, which is part of the brain. These will exhibit all of those. So anything above those lines will exhibit it. So vertebrae. Are all of these organisms vertebrae? Yes. All right. Are all these organisms, do they have bony skeletons? No. Which one does not? Shark. Good. Four limbs. Do all of them have four limbs? No. Which ones do not? Good. All right. So that we can keep going as far as the amniotic egg goes. Primates, rabbits and rodents, crocodiles, dinosaurs and birds, they have those. All right. So as you get to the top here, that is the most complex organism. All the way down at the bottom, the least complex. All right.
Yeah. How can we descend from primates if technically they're less complex than birds and crocodiles?
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're this here. Doesn't necessarily mean. Hey guys, I'm going to wait till it's quiet in here so I can answer questions and you can benefit from the answer. So Andre's question was, how come we evolved from primates if they are less complex than birds? Again, based on this cladogram, it's split up into different characteristics. That's a good question. Rabbits and rodents obviously have hair. Primates have hair. However, we don't have this, guys, as far as humans go. All right? We can take a set of characteristics and make a cladogram based on the characteristics. All right? So we didn't need to put preorbital fenestra on there. We could have put some other characteristic. We could have put, as far as, I don't know, pick one.
2 eyes.
2 eyes? Sure, we could have put that on there. We could have put opposable thumbs on there. That could have been it. So based on characteristics, I guess not necessarily these show level of evolution, but as far as what the characteristics are. It's showing similarities in characteristics. So I want to show, if it's going to let me here. All right. Oh, I'm going to have to. All right, I'm going to have to stop my recording for a second here.